History Channel's coverage of the Star Mazda series is brought to you by Goodyear Assurance, featuring triple tread technology. And by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. After two wonderful rounds at Sebring and at Mid-Ohio, the Star Mazda Series swings to northwestern Connecticut and to the very challenging Lime Rock Park circuit. Hello everyone, I'm Lee Diffie, along with GTS ALMS champion Johnny O'Connell and Dorsey Schrader working pit lane for today's third round for 2004. Johnny, no doubt this will be challenging for these young stars.
Oh, very much so, Lee. I mean, Lime Rock is a beautiful circuit to be at, but it is challenging, and we'll get into that later. 2
rounds down, as we said, and this is a look at the points as they stand so far. A very electrifying start to the season for Dan DeLeo. He sits atop those standings ahead of Smith and Jenkins. Podak and Steele in there. And we look at the top 10 and Tom Nastasi sitting in that 10th and final position at the moment. But it's very early days, a long way to go. And one guy who didn't make the best start to the season, but he's certainly making amends for that now, is Michael McDowell, and he sits on the pole and is with Dorse.
Michael McDowell was the winner last time out at Mid-Ohio, but he's facing a new obstacle today. He's never seen Lime Rock before, but he's on the pole. I got to ask you, Michael, can you make it 2 in a row?
Absolutely, that's the plan. You know, Mid-Ohio, we had a great race car, and I'm anticipating to have the same great race car, you know, this afternoon. Star Race Cars put together, you know, an awesome team, and the crews worked night and day to get this thing up to speed, and it looks like we have what it takes to end this today.
You got a stout 34-car field. Who do you think the trouble's going to be behind you?
You know, the only one I'm really worried about is my teammate, Dan DeLeo. We're in the same equipment, we're about the same setup, and all year long we've gone back and forth. So, you know, I'm really anticipating it being a race between him and I.
Well, watch these two teammates stage a battle here today, guys. Good luck.
Johnny seems to be very motivated after that little error at round 1, and also he had that flat tire there as well.
Very much so, but we saw perhaps a breakout performance from him at Mid-Ohio. Again, very strong.
We talk so much about Lime Rock as a track. Johnny, tell us how to get around.
Well, it is beautiful here. Don't get me wrong, but man, it's a tiny little racetrack, and there's no runoff, and that makes it dangerous. Luckily, you know, especially in bad weather, it's tricky. But the key areas are coming down the front straightaway into Big Bend. Again, a single file racetrack. You're not going to see a whole lot of passing until you get, you know, going through West Bend, down diving turn. But really, it's a tight racetrack. Passing here is almost impossible.
The cars roll. Let's take a look at the Mazda starting grid. Third race and third different pole sitter. Well done, Mike McDowell. And he starts alongside Scott Jenkins, who finished runner-up at Mid-Ohio. Dan DeLeo and one of the new boys to the series, Rafael Matos, who did impress us at Mid-Ohio. What about this young man, C.R. Cruz, the 16-year-old in only his second race? He starts on the third row. We go back to row 4, another young flyer, Jonathan Klein, having a good qualifying effort ahead of Mickey Gilbert. Back to row 5, we take a look at Mike Anderson. 2 Mike Andersons in this race. One is spelled S-E-N, one is spelled S-O-N, and we'll talk more about those guys later. And the reigning champ, Luis Schiavo, starts outside there, and the rest of the runners.
Well, and what's really cool as you look at this grid here, Lee, you'll notice that 15 people are within 1 second, and of course, starting 14th, you know, Michael Andretti's son, Marco Andretti, we get to see him and how he performs today.
Yeah, Marco comes into the GNW Motorsports car, and he is filling in this weekend for Brian Frisell, who has other commitments. As we take a look at the onboards, and as it has been in the previous 2 races, Jamie Bach gives us a wonderful shot. So too does Rafael Matos, driving for Richie Hearn.
And a great young talent. Here you see them coming down the hill. They'll just be getting into top gear once they're racing here. But again, it is beautiful here. But as we go around the circuit, you're going to realize there's not a whole lot of places to fall off.
Michael McDowell, the race winner from Mid-Ohio, sits on pole. He's got Scott Jenkins right alongside. Jenkins wants to make amends as well for hitting off the ignition switch at Mid-Ohio, but we get the green and we fly. DeLeo looks for an inside run as well. They come down into turn 1. Whoa, lock up from Dan DeLeo, and he gets into the side of Scott Jenkins.
You know what? I mean, turn 1 here at Lime Rock, you're always going to have that stuff. And as you watch on this first corner, remember, these guys' tires aren't up to pressure. They're not up to temperature yet, so it's always a big challenge for these competitors.
Riding with Jamie Bach. Look at this, there's Moses Smith. Oh, and Marco Andretti gets it all sideways.
Well, and as we go on this lap here, notice in the middle of all these corners, and again, this is one of the difficult aspects about Lime Rock, they've cut away the asphalt and laid down cement. That makes it so difficult and so tricky to not only get through the corner, but to set up passes.
Fabulous shot here as the cars fly over the hill. They're not doing the chicane as the ALMS cars did this weekend. Tom Nastasi makes a good inside move there. He improves his position by 1 on the opening lap. See them run off, just drop a wheel here and there. You'll see that a lot today. That's a characteristic of the Lime Rock circuit. CR Cruz and Jonathan Klein going hard at it on the opening lap.
An impressive job by Cruz. And remember, this kid's only 16 years old, and to be competing against such veterans in such a competitive series is very impressive by him.
It's the two star cars up front, though, as Michael McDowell and Dan DeLeo run away with it at the moment. And Jamie Bach has his hands full. We'll be back right after this with more from Lime Rock Park.
With so much racing going on in the world, you'd have to be a four-headed monster to keep up with it all. Luckily, we have that. Join Peter Keene, Bill Wood, Errol Tucker, and their guest driver analyst each week for an opinionated look at the news coming out of the racing world. Remember, it's GoRacingTV.com for all your racing and video needs.
The Star Mazda series is brought to you by Mazda. There's the soul of a sports car in everything we make.
Dan DeLeo from the Barber Dodge Pro Series to Star Mazda and to Victory Lane. Well done. DeLeo takes the win at Sebring.
Definitely an accomplishment, you know, to come into a new series with the new surroundings and different people around you. It's not easy to walk in and sort of dominate like I did in Sebring. You know, we came out of the gates quickly, and I just got to build on that momentum and keep it going.
We watch with much interest as Mike McDowell fends off Dan DeLeo. The margin between these two has been dramatically reduced. It's now within a car, and DeLeo is as close as he's ever been to Mike McDowell. He pulls out of the draft alongside McDowell. It looks like we've got a new race leader.
The good thing about it is we push each other to the limits, and you know, when we're off the track, you know, we're able to shake hands and say good job, you know, and I think it's really important to have a quick teammate to push you every step of the way. And you know, Michael's definitely a quick drive and a guy that's going to be around for a long time. And as long as we work off each other, it's going to be a great relationship for the rest of the year.
Johnny O'Connell, as we return to Lime Rock Park under caution, we see you in the Corvette racing team in the American Le Mans Series. You have very tough competitors and teammates. How important is that for each of you to keep yourselves on your toes?
It's always really good because, you know, you got a fast guy and they push you, and this is why we're under caution right there.
On the inside, Ryan Justice and Tom Nastasi come together, and so too the third car in that was Marco Andretti.
Boy, I mean, it looks like Justice really kind of made a little bit of an ambitious move. Kind of hard to tell from box view right there. And then, you know, and it looks like Marco Andretti had no idea people were moving inside him. You know, again, one of the difficult things, as you see right there, you see Justice moving to the inside, boom, and that just got the chain reaction going. I think Marco was actually trying to make a move on Nastasi as well on the outside. Pretty courageous thing to do here at Lime Rock. Not a lot of room out there.
Back to the replay. McDowell leads DeLeo. They're jostling for positions further back. It's clear there. On the inside, Moses Smith. Whoa, big contact. Turn one.
And it looks like Moses damaged his left front suspension there. And as a guy that's, you know, towards the front of the championship, this is going to kill him.
Moses Smith coming together with Nick Steele, and Smith's day is over.
You know, you hate to see that, but again, you know, at Lime Rock, there is no passing zone, as we see DeLeo right now all over McDowell. I mean, it's so difficult to pass here that, you know, when you get an opportunity on a restart like that, a lot of times guys throw Hail Marys, and that's exactly what it looked like Moses did.
If you missed the first two rounds of the Star Mazda Series this year, we highlight the point of how important it is for the number 2, Mike McDowell, to stay out in front and get enormous championship points. The first race he came in contact with Brian Frisell, and despite getting a flat tire and various other issues, he received, I can't remember, 0 if any points. On the inside, look at this, DeLeo, the teammates contact.
You know, I guarantee you they touched there, and beautifully, you know, driven by both drivers there. This is going to, you know, between these two drivers, I think all season long we're going to be expecting amazing competition, but right there, McDowell played him fair, DeLeo played him fair.
Johnny, this is a replay of the start. Look to the left of your screen, folks. Johnny, talk us through.
Well, Moses, you can see, locked up there, and I think really what might have happened is he got caught off there a little bit by, and I forget who that was in front of him.
Steele.
Nick Steele getting on the brakes a little earlier than he thought because he locked up, then he tried to avoid.
On board Rafael Matos. Watch further up. Watch, in fact, to the right-hand side. Watch for Moses Smith to come through.
Yeah, very late. They're kind of, you know, hard to pick it up from that point of view, exactly what Moses was thinking.
And the tow truck coming out to grab Moses Smith. Let's get an update from Dorsey Schrader. He's with Schiavo.
Luis, last year a championship for you, and this year you're having nothing but trouble, mate.
Well, we had a motor problem with the motor. The car was very good, was handling very good. My team did a great job with the car. Unfortunately, with the motor, just didn't push. I mean, didn't have any power. You know, I wish I had better luck, but you know, maybe next races.
Better luck next time.
Thanks.
Sorry to see Luis Schiavo out. Jamie Bark has spun. And it looked like he was having some difficulty getting the car fired again.
Well, and also remember, these are sequential gearboxes. It's not always easy when you spin to get in the gear you need to get out of it.
Here's the replay. Is that concrete strip, Johnny?
You know, that concrete strip just catches more guys out, and if he went in there and lifted a little bit, but I noticed earlier on the opening lap just how hard he was working the wheel, and so I don't know whether or not his car was behaving as well as he would have liked it to.
CR Cruz just a little further up as we ride now with Rafael Matos in 8th. There was a terrific battle there with Potikin and Klein. There's Cord Rohrig. He's been having a reasonable run this weekend.
Yeah, but he had looked a little bit slow there, so I don't know whether he missed a gear or was having some sort of issue there. But as we look down to the battle for fourth here, you know, good group of cars here. And but you know, again, Lime Rock is so difficult to pass. If I've got somebody behind me, I can be a second slower than them and still keep them behind me.
Stick around, more after this.
The Star Mazda series is brought to you by Mazda. There's the soul of a sports car in everything we make.
Back at Lime Rock Park, round 3 continues, and we are under caution for the second time. And this is the reason why. Johnny, talk us through this replay, this scary-looking replay.
Very fast part of the racetrack here, and you've heard me talk about the complete lack of runoff areas here at Lime Rock Park. Man, Mike, you know what? If you haven't lived through that, you have no idea what a huge moment that was. And again, there were 2 issues that happened there. He lost the back end, but then he hit that concrete, difficult to regain control, and then no runoff, and bad day, and that was an expensive one.
That was for Richie Hearn's young charger, Rafael Matos, but he is okay. We get back to it. The restart. Look at the guys on the left here going hard at it. Potikin and Anderson. Mike Anderson lifts his hand out of the cockpit, clenched fist at Mike Potikin, but
you know, and one of the things, Lee, that you can do in Lime Rock, when you come through that final corner, you have every right to move to the inside line, and Anderson, you know, trying to get by on the inside, well, he's going to try that, but Potikin had every right to move him right over into the grass, and one of the cool things about this type of racing is you see these guys, they do not want to lift off the throttle.
You see it a lot here at Lime Rock, don't you? They dive to the inside, they take that defensive line down the front straight, because turn 1, Big Bend, is a key overtaking spot.
It's one of the only ones. I mean, you've got a guy in front of you who has to make a mistake in order for you to get by, and that even goes through, you know, going into turn 1. That final corner right there, Big Bend, it's critical to being able to defend your position. You see the grass coming out of Anderson's car as he comes down the straightaway.
Battle for 5th here. Mickey Gilbert, Mike Potikin, pushing hard up into the left-hander. Potikin's been in the hot seat for quite a while now.
And doing a good job controlling his pace there and keeping these guys behind you. Again, you know, he's, you know, a guy like Potikin, we're so used to over the years seeing him run, you know, consistently in the top 5. You know, I'm sure that once they get a better handle on this new car, it'll be a little bit easier for him.
Look at this into West Bend. Thinks about it on the inside. Not quite close enough. Ryan Justice and Andre Desmarais in there as well.
We are, 2-3 wide there.
It's interesting to watch your reaction in the booth here, Johnny. You're driving this race 4 wide down into turn 1. Something's got to give. Woo.
And you're laughing at my faces, but again, you haven't driven this racetrack and you don't know exactly what these psychotics are going through. and you are literally, milliseconds from contact here in every single corner. And Potikin, of course, realizes this. He's pushing so hard, and what the mistake he is going to make, as you can see him right there, he was checking his mirror, seeing the guy on the inside. You have to drive like he's not there, but do not sacrifice missing an apex, because as long as you can get to your apex, you'll be quick out of the corner. But where he's making mistakes is in the final corner, in that he's a little bit wide of his apex. That slows him down going down the back straightaway, and that's why all these guys are bottled up behind him, frothing at the mouth, trying to get by.
Nick Steele in court. Kurt Rohrig going hard at it there. Kurt dives to the inside line. Meanwhile, back up here, look at this. Ryan Justice, Mike Potikin. They're all in there. Andre Desmarais in the 43.
There's a gift from Potikin, because he could have defended that, when he came out of Big Bend, just moving to the inside.
Through the left-hander, where we saw Jamie Bach spin earlier. Mike Potikin battling hard inside the top 10.
Killer battle. One of the things about Lime Rock that we talked about was these concrete patches in the middle of the corner. And really what's that like is for drivers on the street. If you run over paint, you'll notice that paint is slippery. But really the difference when you're on the black part of the asphalt, you've got really good grip. When you slide over the concrete, it's literally like, when it starts to get slippery on the roads with a little bit of rain. The amount of grip that you have is dramatically decreased, and that's why your car starts sliding.
Look at this, 4 wide. Kurt Rohrig on the grass. They head down into 1. Hard on the brakes here. And Kurt Rohrig settles back from it. The other Mike Anderson in there, S-O-N. He moves up a position. Good hard racing within the top 10 here in the Star Mazda Series. We need to squeeze in a quick break. When we return, plenty more from Lime Rock Park.
Hi there, I'm Tom Natcher, and this is Greg Kramer. We're called the old bastards of racing in many circles. I guess we met back in the late 1980s.
Easy. It had to be at least that far back. Glory day of some racing, too.
Oh, absolutely. Trans Am was a part of the picture, and actually I learned to do pro announcing from this man around the Trans Am Championship. Oh, that is a long time ago.
A very long time ago, but I'll tell you what, you take a look at Trans Am racing in the early 90s in particular, the names that were running at that time. But the other side of the story was World Challenge was really starting to come alive at that point. And the names in that, there were sometimes you'd look at the two rosters and go, I'm not sure which one is the most talent. Some amazing stuff from those decades past. And of course, a lot of those drivers also doubling up, running amateur racing in the runoffs. And it was spectacular stuff.
Now, GoRacingTV has got all of that action, Trans Am World Challenge, and even some runoff material, all coming up over the next season. That's going to be something to watch.
I know, to be able to relive those 2 decades of motorsports from the Sports Car Club of America's Pro Racing Department, Trans Am World Challenge, and then you include the National Amateur Championships, the runoff, the intense battles that unfolded there. It simply doesn't get any better than that, and it lives again right here on GoRacingTV.com.
Because I need to spend more time in front of my computer.
Welcome back to Lime Rock Park as round 3 of the Star Mazda Series continues. Lee Diffie with Johnny O'Connell and Dorsey Schrader down in pit lane. Battles continue here and hard. Nick Steele, Scott Jenkins going hard at it. Meanwhile, here's our race leader, and it has been a perfect run, all bar slight contact with his teammate earlier when Dan DeLeo dove on the inside, but it's been a brilliant one for McDowell so far, Johnny.
He's really done an amazing job. Again, I go back to Mid-Ohio, where I really thought I saw a performance that's separating him a little bit from the rest of the guys out here, and he's continuing on in that same manner. But DeLeo is keeping him honest. Let's not give it to him yet.
Look at this. Mike Potikin dives for the inside, takes the defensive line, but Nick Steele says, yeah, I can go there as well. Here comes Scott Jenkins, who started on the front row. Now he is scrapping for a top 10 position. It's been a tough race for Scott.
But he's in a good position right there on the inside of the corner.
Nick Steele holds that spot though. Here comes Mark Pavin in the all-yellow car. Diving for an inside run. So again, Mike Potikin having to defend.
Well, and you know what? We know Jenkins is fast. I mean, the guy qualified on the outside of the front row. He was very good in Mid-Ohio. The guy is definitely capable of being in front. He's got to be frustrated to be this far to the back, but a nice move on the inside there on Steele. Oh, see him get crossed up there.
Oh.
Steele coming back.
And Paven wants an inside run as well. Now Nick Steele thinks about it on the downhill. Oh!
And he had to check up. Steele had to check up, so he'll lose a little bit of momentum there. Getting passed by one car.
And that's why Mark Paven was able to come through. Nice work there. This is all for a top 10 spot. Closing laps of this one. One more to go here at Lime Rock Park for that man there. Star Race Cars, the Drive for USA entry for Mike McDowell. Back-to-back wins, just one lap away.
And coming up on traffic, and he doesn't like that, but he's here through the radio. I'm sure that, you know, where DeLeo is, how many seconds does he have on him. And what you do as a driver, if you've got 2 seconds on a guy, what you'll do is when you finish a corner, you'll check your mirror and count yourself 1001, 1002, look in the mirror. So that really gives you an idea how much space that person is really behind you.
On our way home, Jamie Bark there, who had recovered from that earlier spin. Meanwhile, our race leader, Mike McDowell, he did it at Mid-Ohio. He's done it here at Lime Rock Park. Star Race Cars feature in this one again, and it's a 1-2 for McDowell and teammate Dan DeLeo. But Mike McDowell picks up his 4th career victory, his 2nd consecutive race win. And now he is back in this championship hunt.
And looking very strong. I mean, he's got to feel real good about things. You know, if we go back to Lime Rock, as we see this battle for 10th, I think this is Potikin.
Potikin, yeah.
Doing his best to prove me right that you can't hold faster cars back off you at Lime Rock.
Jenkins, Paven, Nick Steele, they're all lining up for a shot, but Mike Potikin, they run to the line now. Look at Scott Jenkins has got him. Scott Jenkins with a brilliant inside run. Coming off the fast downhill turn. Nice work. When we return, we'll hear from our guy finished up front.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at GoRacingTV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
The Star Mazda series is brought to you by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make.
Back at Lime Rock, and we should congratulate 2 young Chargers, C.R. Cruz and Jonathan Klein, for doing a very nice job. But let's now hear from our race winner. He's with Dorsey.
Mike McDowell, first time at Lime Rock. You got pole position. Now you've come off with a win. That's 2 in a row. Great job, mate.
Yeah, it's going awesome. 2 out of 3. You know, I'm very excited with that. You know, Sebring, we had the win wrapped up. We had a 7-second lead and got a flat tire. You know, so now I got to work really hard to get that car back up there in the points. And the Star Race Cars guys did an awesome job. Gave me a perfect car. As you can see, my teammate, we won 1-2. Our cars were great. And, you know, all my sponsors, Mazda, the Rodriguez family, Drive for USA, Red Rock Lumber, Western Titanium, Mega Metals, Sparco. There's a whole list. HTT. I mean, all these people got me into this seat. And I tell you what, we're glad to be here. We're going to keep winning races.
Well, your teammate gave you a shot down in turn 1. He had to look at you in that last restart. Were you worried?
You know what? We had a little bit of contact. I actually didn't see him pop. And I went right for the apex, and he was there. We made it through. And I'm just glad both of us got through that corner, and we went 1-2.
Great job, bud.
Thank you very much.
We congratulate Mike McDowell as well as we take a look at the full results for you. Well done too to Mickey Gilbert for a top 5 finish. Ryan Justice recovered nicely. Andre Desmarais and the 2 Mike Andersons finishing there inside the top 10 as well. But a great effort for those guys further up towards the front. And of course that thrilling battle for that top 10 spot. And Mark Paven in 11th did get Mike Potikin right at the end. So thrilling finish there. We go all the way back to the guys who had a pretty eventful race, including Marco Andretti in his first run in the Star Mazda Series. That's how they finished as far as the results concerned. Now let's take a look at the championship points. Coming in, Dan DeLeo had just an 8-point margin. Now he has a 26-point margin over Scott Jenkins. And look who has arrived abruptly on the scene. Mike McDowell is there. And we show you the other runners inside the top 10. Johnny O'Connell, keen to get your thoughts on this third round.
Well, again, another great performance by McDowell, but, I love seeing these young guys compete and seeing adding a new name to the list. C.R. Cruz, I think he got the fastest race lap. He might be somebody that we're going to see winning races here in the near future.
He and engineer Jeff Braun doing a nice job together, and an exciting start and 3 very different looking podiums in the first 3 races. That's what it was like at the beginning of this one. And from Lime Rock Park in northwestern Connecticut, the championship swings way west to Infineon Raceway in California, and we will see them mix it up there. On behalf of Dorsey Schrader and Johnny O'Connell, I'm